Sean with Triangle of Truth here, welcoming everyone back. If you are someone who's returning to the channel, thanks for coming back and having more fun with us. If you are someone who's new and watching a video, specifically this one for the first time, welcome. I hope you're ready to have some fun. That's what we do here on the channel. Anyways, what I'm here for this week is I have a question for everybody. I want to know what comic book characters or just a comic book series did you get into because you saw it as a movie or TV show first? Today I've got several examples, actually 7 to be exact, of ones that I've seen over the past, I would say probably 10 or 11 years. And that when I finally got into comics, I started reading them. And I can honestly say that even before I was reading comics, these were not characters that I would have been interested in to read about. So with that said, let's jump right into it. The first and foremost one, actually some of these will probably be a shocker, but this one is going to be one of those where it'll be a surprise. So the first and foremost one is Green Arrow. The reason why I got into that one is because of the TV show Arrow, my favorite TV show of all time. Granted, I realized that the version of Arrow that Stephen Amell portrayed is not really how the character is written most of the time. Nonetheless, he gave me so much that I really got into researching the character, reading some of his backstories, and his rogues gallery and whatnot. So, definitely thank you to Stephen Amell and that cast, because while Green Arrow in the comics is different, I thank him for getting me into him, because there are so many good stories for this character, and he's so underrated. So that's definitely the first and foremost one that I have to go with. My next one is going to be one that's actually going to be coming out on Netflix here soon, called Old Guard. Well, when I learned that Old Guard is actually based off of the comic of the same name, I went ahead and went to my local LCS and decided to see if they carried the trade, and lo and behold, they did. So I went ahead to grab it so that I can read it and get into and learn about this universe, because the synopsis behind everything actually sounds really, really, really cool. So it's definitely something where I wanted to get familiar with the characters, their universe, their world, so that when I watch the movie, I at least have that to go off of, but I still am just going to enjoy the movie for what it is, and that is just a movie for entertainment. So that's another one. My next one, this is going to be a surprise to some people, or it may not, because from what I understand, these characters, while they were known, were not huge, at least before the movie came out and exploded. And that is Guardians of the Galaxy. I honestly didn't know about any of the Guardians, even individually, before the movie came out. But like a lot of people, I went to the movie because, one, obviously your trailers are good, but two, because Marvel was doing so good at giving you all of these characters, whether they were ones that were known at this time, or whether they were ones that they put out there and took a shot on to create that entire, Avengers universe. And this movie, especially the first Guardians of the Galaxy, was definitely one of the best movies in the entire Marvel Universe during that entire, Infinity Saga run. So when it came time to do the comics, of course, I've gotten comics for obviously all of the Guardians. There's just a Rocket one and a Star-Lord one by himself. So I've gotten into these characters, and you realize how much deeper a lot of them are than of course what you see on screen, which has been the case with everyone on this list. While you get very little of everything with a character when you see them on a screen. So I highly encourage anyone that if you do get really into a character that's a comic character, read some of the stuff behind them and see how much their universe really expands beyond what you're being given visually in a TV show. Sorry, went off a little rant there. So my next one is Constantine. No, I did not watch the 90s movie or late 2000s movie with Keanu Reeves. This actually comes from the TV show that only got one season, and I'm like, mm, where's season two? I need season two. Like, now. See my face? This is serious face. I need season two and beyond. You have the perfect actor voicing the guy. And I say that because having gone in and read comics about Constantine and seeing his world get expanded and everything, you realize that the guy they actually have voicing him in all the animated stuff and that played him on the TV show and in, I believe he's in Legends of Tomorrow, you have the guy. You have the perfect guy to play him. And Constantine is a character that I highly encourage everyone to read about. This dude is so amazing and so powerful and one just some of the best stories. If you're into the dark, dark magic and that kind of stuff, you will love him to death. Literally. No, I'm just kidding. But you really will love the character because there is a lot there. There's so much, and he can fit in and work in with anyone despite the fact of what he does. My next one, this is probably what I would call the other shocker of my list, and that's Thor. Again, it's the Marvel series. I'll be perfectly honest. I had no idea who Thor was, other than I knew that he was the the Nordic god of thunder. I knew that. I knew the mythology of him, but as a character, I honestly didn't know that he existed. So when the movie came out, I was like, oh wow, that I was like, holy shit! They made a movie about him. That he's actually a character, and of course, I got told by Jay and Jen. I was like, oh yeah, he's been around forever. There's so much stuff. He's really a great character. So as I've gotten to dive in and read about him, beyond what you see on the screen and everything, Thor, I mean, they weren't lying. Thor is such a great character. So, there's so much there to read because of how long they've been writing for him. I can't name specific stories, whatnot to try and read to get the best parts of him. I can only say that read it all. I mean, just a great character, especially if you're into that kind of thing where he is a little, god and whatnot. And if you're into that kind of mythology and that kind of thing, you definitely will like him as a character. The next one might be a shocker, but I don't think so. I think for a lot of years, as a character, despite the fact that he's been kind of at the forefront, he's been in Justice League. They've had him in some cartoons and whatnot, but they've always, for whatever reason, up until recently, kind of made him this goof character, and that's Aquaman. When DC in a lot of the newer stuff, you get into your new 52s and onward into Rebirth and now what they call just the DC universe. Before that, for whatever reason, Aquaman was just kind of written and treated as just this little goof character. Well, what turned my opinion on him was the DC animated movie Throne of Atlantis, and just how he's been portrayed in that entire continuity, if that's even a word, of the DC universe that just ended. Along with, of course, you have Jason Momoa's version of him on screen now. But when they decided to give you that Aquaman, he was no longer a joke, in my opinion. He was someone that you could really take seriously and be like, okay, this guy is a literal badass. And he is. There's more to the guy than just being able to talk to fish and move underwater. So much more. I cannot encourage enough to read a lot of his new 52 stories and especially get into some of the Rebirth stuff. And I hope that DC's next move is to start diving into Rebirth in their animated thing so that it can bring more of you into this universe, especially for him. I mean, he is like it's just kind of like a repeat thing, but he's just so badass. You need to read about him. He's got so many great stories, so many, and there are. He's one of the few characters that they give you these moments where they're like, "Get over here," and they take your heart out. And then you also got these moments where you're just like, you're screaming at the top of your lungs in your head because he's just doing something that's so cool and whatnot. So definitely do not treat him as a joke and read some of the stuff from like New 52 on up to the present. Lastly, this is definitely one geared much more towards the adults. The TV show and the comics are even more graphic than the TV show. And that is The Boys. That you have that TV show on Amazon Prime. Let me tell you, if you think what you see on the TV show is crazy, out there, gory, just straight up nuts, the comics almost make it look PG-13. There is just that much more in them. But for those of you that are really into that thing, who want to see what it's like when superheroes know they've got all the power and I don't know if the phrase "taken for granted" fits it, but they just don't care. They're good, but they just don't care. You've got to read the Boys series. It will blow your mind with some of the crazy stuff that they do. I won't go into it here, as I am trying to be a little bit friendly today with everything. But for all of you adults, your mature readers, you will have so much fun reading all. I don't even know how many volumes there are, but you will have fun reading the entire series. Anyways, that is all I've got for this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications whenever we upload. Until next time, have a good one. I'll catch you later.